So I'm delighted to have with us today Soulaima Gourani, who is one of the most amazing entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, public speakers that I know. And the great thing about Soulaima is, she wasn't born into privilege, but she's got into this position through her own work and her own hard work, her own talents, and is a great role model for anyone, I think. So just as a start, Soulaima, could you tell us in a couple of lines about your background?
Thank you, Nick. What an honor to be here today. So I'm Danish Moroccan. I was born in Morocco but raised in Denmark. My mom was Danish and my dad was Moroccan. I grew up in a very white community, and as long as I can remember, I felt extremely alone, even depressed, and I never felt I belonged to where I lived. I didn't do well in school. I grew up in a very troubled family, partly because my dad was an immigrant, couldn't get a job, even though he was educated as an engineer. My mom, non-employed. I'm the first one to graduate actually college, to get an MBA. I felt very, very different and very lonely and very depressed for the most of my childhood. I grew up in foster care, in institutions. I ran away from my parents when I was just 13. I lived in the streets. The police picked me up. Very troubled. Most of my friends have either died, got into prostitution, criminals. It's a miracle I'm sitting here, and I'm extremely honored to have this conversation with you.
Wow. So I guess one of the first questions that leads on maybe from that is,
Hi, my name is Megha Mahajan and I'm from India. My question for you is, did you face any problems or obstacles because of gender stereotypes? How did you move forward in your career in technology sector in spite of these?
I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and at that point of time, it was very, even though I grew up in Denmark, that's a very free country, and women can pretty much do what they want. You still have social stigma. So I was never the nice little girl. I was dirty, hungry, very outspoken, maybe even a little aggressive because I was facing so many issues at home. My dad had a drinking issue. My parents went bankrupt twice. It was very troubled. I felt I grew up and I had nothing to relate to, and again very lonely. I was not a normal girl. Some girls were not even allowed to play with me, nor even let me. They wouldn't even let me. They didn't want to invite me back home for play dates, because my socks were always dirty. I smelled of tobacco, and it was not easy for me to get hold of clean clothing because my parents had a lot of issues, right? And then things just slide. I was given a few chances in my life, Nick, just a few chances in my life. And those few chances were given by one specific teacher when I was 16. He told me, listen, you have a lot of competences. You are a natural born leader. I think that you're going to show the world that a leader can look like you. This was the first time ever anyone told me that I had a potential. I was 16. Up until then, I was told to shut up, say less, that I was worth nothing. So it was really a magic moment, and I trusted that teacher. So his advice, I took that to me. But I couldn't get a job. Every job I applied for from 16 till 20, I was just turned down. Like no one would employ me. So what I did was I left the country. I moved to Switzerland, later Luxembourg, later Norway. And in all those countries, funny enough, I could get a job. Those countries are different from Denmark. They were lacking in people to work for them, and immigration was welcome. So I moved countries 3 times, and in Norway, I was invited to join the tech industry by a Norwegian leader who saw that I could bring some different skills to the table, my hustle, my energy, maybe a little bit of charm. And he gave me a chance to build to take a product and expand that product. And it turns out I was very good in sales, and I was then able to sell this IT product to one of the biggest retail chains in the world. And I quickly became known as this strategic salesperson that could, land significant deals, global deals. And that was really the beginning of my career. And then later I was recruited by Maersk and other very well-known, ridiculous, amazing companies, HP, but it was really one teacher and one person, one business owner who saw the potential, two chances, and I seized both of them.
That's fantastic. And I think, I guess that's what we're trying to do for young people, is to give them that confidence, to be like that teacher of yours, that they can actually do something with their lives, and you're going to be one more source of inspiration for them.
Hi, my name is Mahamrani and I'm from Pakistan. My question for you is, what techniques have you used to overcome obstacles in your life and to build confidence? Do you have any you could share with us?
Yeah, I would like to share how I keep my confidence. Also, if you think of, most of my life, I was told I was not good enough. People didn't like me. I wasn't recognized. I didn't see anyone that looked like me. And I didn't know anyone that was struggling as much as I were, right? So I didn't really have any role models. And so what did I do? First and foremost, I've always had, and I still have, like a little light deep inside myself, giving me confidence that everything is going to be okay. Even if I'm very alone, even if I'm going through very, dramatic hardship, I really do know deep inside it's going to be okay, everything. And I just keep walking, right? Number two, I think a lot about my mental hygiene. So even if everything is in distress and cares, I am not saying I'm good at it, but I try every day to monitor my thoughts, monitor my self-talk. How do I talk to myself? Do I beat myself down all the time? Do I tell myself I'm ugly? Do I tell myself that I'm worth nothing? Or do I do the opposite? And some days I don't love myself, right? Because I think I'm an amateur, I'm not good enough, because I keep pushing myself into new areas, new industries, new ambitions, new targets, new goals, meaning I'm always not competing, but I'm always the least experienced in the room because I keep pushing myself, right? That's a strategy of mine. One of the things that really drives me a lot, Nick, is to learn, keep learning, and never stop learning. And so self-talk, monitor my mental hygiene, and that does mean three things. Get your sleep. It really matters. Kids don't drink alcohol, but you might someday start drinking alcohol. Don't. It's not good for you. It's not going to do anything good for your brain. Your brain and mental hygiene. Reduce those kind of things. Exercise and surround yourself with positive people. They might not be very professional. They might not being able to help you with your job or anything, but at least being surrounded with positive people, because their positivity is gonna, affect you and how you think about things. So spend time with optimistic people, positive people. And then remember, thanks to technology today, pretty much all information, education is affordable and accessible. I mean, of course, if you have Wi-Fi, hardware and all that, not everyone have that. Like in the 70s, 80s, you could tell, I don't have access to a library, or I don't have a mentor, I can't access this information. It was very clustered, hard to get into, or it did cost you a lot of money. That's not the situation anymore, right? And really what I do today, still 1 to 2 hours a day, still I listen to podcasts, I listen to experts that I want to learn from. 1 to 2 hours a day, still. I'm extremely humble, and I recognize, for every day I wake up, I recognize all the things that I don't know anything about that I'm eager to learn today. Don't be naive, right? But be positive. That's really important. Sleep, nutrition, friends, these kind of things. And then believe in yourself, right?
My name is Bimeleke Ebenesi, and I am from Nigeria here. And I have a question for you. And my question is, how were you able to write books, combine writing books, inspire other people, and building companies all at once? Just wanted to know how all this was possible, done by you.
So I want to be completely honest. I work a lot. Like the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning is, of course, to greet my kids and give them a big hug and show them a lot of love. But besides that, I have very few interests in life. I take care of my health. I care a lot about my family, my 2 kids and my lovely husband, and then I like working. That's it, that's it. So so writing books. For me, writing a book is of course it's a lot of work, but it's also a kind of therapy, because for every book I write, it's like closing a chapter. Okay, now I've described the process, what I learned, and I've been passing it on so other people can learn from it. And then I don't think so much about what I wrote in the book anymore. And actually, on my phone, I have like my online notes. And every day when I go for a walk or a hike, I do that maybe 30 or 40, 60 minutes a day. I make notes, right? For my next book, I'm always working on my next book. So for me, it's therapy. Does it make sense? Like, how do you discuss what you learned? With whom do you do that? It's not something I consider as hard work. It's work that is really good for me to do because I reflect and I learn from the past. Number two, speaking. It comes very easy for me to speak. I love being invited as a keynote speaker. I'm extremely humbled by the fact that I've done more than 2,000 talks in 40 countries. Who would have believed that? I wasn't even able to speak English in 2007. I had to teach myself, get a teacher. So for that, I'm very excited. When it comes to companies, listen, the thing is, it's never been easy for me to get a job. I remember I have a background from being rejected all the time. So entrepreneurship comes very easily to me because it's actually the safest way for me to work. You can't lay me off and I don't have to cope with a manager. I'm sitting right now in Silicon Valley raising funding for our next startup, Happio. And every day I wake up, new competition. Your competitor raised more millions than you did. It's extremely competitive, even though I've never been happier. Like, I like being in that space where it's extremely competitive. I'm beating the odds. A woman like me, woman of color, immigrant. I'm 45. Statistically, I have a 0.0001% chance of surviving and succeeding in what I do. Like, I'm really beating the statistics. And I think that's fun, right? And if I fail, it's not a big deal. My ego, I try to beat my ego every day. I'm not here because of my ego. I'm here because I learn, I grow, and I get to work with the best people. Should I fail? It's okay. It's really okay. If you're not afraid of not being the best, not making the most money and all that, if you're not afraid of not being, then you take chances. And that makes you a very good entrepreneur.
What advice do you have for people who have potential but are just not sure what path to take or don't know where to start to achieve their goals?
It is such a difficult question because I'm struggling with that myself too, even today. I think you should allow yourself to play, experiment. I think we pay too little attention to the fact that you should be testing your ideas. Very often we go full on, we quit our job or we take all our money and we invest it in one basket and we run for something. Take small steps, test the waters, dip your finger, dip your toe, and play with it, right? Test it, right? If no one buys your product, if no one signs up on your newsletter, no one clicks on your landing page, all those things, then you might not have a market product fit. Instead of just running in one direction, make sure that there is a market for you, that you are a good fit, whether that is for a job or for a startup or whatever you want to do, a study, like if you want to pursue a career in academics, and to interview people, be a journalist in your own life, like interview people, observe, make notes, and being completely honest with yourself. And when I say completely honest, I mean honest. What is not your strength? What are you not good at? What are you not willing to work on? What are you not willing to, give up on? All those things, be completely honest. And then your talent might not be big. It might not be obvious. It might even be a talent no one have ever seen before. But you have to be honest with yourself, recognize your talent, and dare to execute on whatever potential you have and your talent. And remember, talent is just a small part of the acquisition, because you can have a lot of talent. If you're not willing to practice, fail, learn, improve, then you can have as much talent as you like. Because in the end, it's execution that is key. Have a good friend, have someone you can trust, and talk about all the struggles you have. Because if you don't talk about them, they will grow on you, and you will start being, embarrassed that you have maybe anxiety, maybe you have stress, maybe you have addiction problems, maybe you are fighting a big trauma. All those things, get it released. It's very important, because over time, all those things will find a way to take over your life, and then you can have as much potential as you like. It will kill it. So make sure you manage your dark sides and all those things that are difficult to handle.
Hi, my name is Chandrasekhar from a village near Chennai, India. I have a question for you. In the modern world, technology has become particularly important. What are the opportunities for the use of technology in the future, especially when it comes to reaching more people with ideas and innovations?
The thing is with technology that I specifically love is that everyone can learn to program, code, even hack systems. You can build a global company from your bedroom or from, the kitchen table. It's actually a good thing for a lot of underserved communities, like women who are single parents who can't leave their house, or if you're disabled, or if you have anything, if you live in a poor country, or if you live very remotely. You don't have to you no longer have to live in Silicon Valley or New York or Seattle or Tel Aviv or Helsinki or Copenhagen to really get access to the best talent or investors or customers. So technology is really an industry that is, of course, in many ways, a secondary world, right? But it is inclusive, and everyone can make it within technology. Everyone can make it if you're willing to learn. Um, Technology does not require a lot of funding to succeed in. You just have to have good ideas and be able to execute those ideas. And I will encourage everyone, no matter age, every day to push yourself to learn new things. Either it's installing things, deprogramming things, working on something. Like IT skills is an essential skill, just like writing, verbal communication, all that. It is a skill. I acknowledge that not everyone has access to the newest technology programs, hardware, mobile phones, and whatnot. Wherever you are, with whatever you have, make that work. And if you're limited, well, probably there are millions of other people that are exact same situation like you. So maybe you can invent something that other people can access with that limited resources that you face yourself. So there's always something you can do with IT and technology, and there's no job in the entire world nowadays that does not include technology. So even if you don't love technology, it is a big part of your work and your job and your life. Be curious. Spend more time online. I know it goes against everything else when people are saying, if you like gaming, not only use it for entertainment, try to understand what makes gaming interesting. Why are people spending so much time on gaming? Or, so I think be curious and learn it and read about it, study it. Like, I cannot emphasize enough. IT is so important for everyone's life.
So Soulaima, you've given us a bunch of information about your background and your great story about how you rose up despite all the difficulties you faced. Could you maybe tell the kids listening, what it is you're doing today in Silicon Valley and why it's so exciting?
So I'm in Silicon Valley. I moved here to build our next startup, and our startup is named Happio. And we built online meeting platforms for high-stake meetings for enterprises. And we work with some of the most iconic companies in the world. We haven't launched yet, but in short, we are improving the quality of online meetings, not because of the pandemic, but because we don't want really people to start traveling that much after the pandemic. Why? Climate issues, right? So we want to make sure that online meeting platforms are so amazing that it will almost be as good as if we met in real life.
Wow. Well, it's hugely inspirational. So congratulations on all of that. And thank you for finding the time to talk to me and to all the kids who are listening out there. I know this is going to be super inspirational.
Thank you for having me. It's a huge honor. And, if I could give just one advice to, any child in the world, it is you're very unique, you're very special. And despite what you've seen, what you've been going through, there is a space for you. Someone might not offer it to you, so you will have to create it for yourself. And you are a creator. You have everything you need to make it in life inside yourself. So release it, trust it, be smart, careful how you spend your time, energy, and resources. Be careful and be very mindful of how you spend your day. Don't waste your life. It's too short.